75 years ago, a group of porters at San Francisco General Hospital during the San Francisco General Strike decided to organize a union to change their lives, to advance themselves, and to have a voice in how care is given to their patients. And that historic moment was the birth of the hospital workers movement and healthcare workers movement in this country. United Healthcare Workers West and our predecessor unions, Local 250, Local 399, some leaders from Local 535, is the oldest healthcare workers union in the country. Ironically, we're just about to celebrate our 75th anniversary. We're very proud of the fact that UHW is the fastest growing healthcare workers union in this country. We have the highest standards for hospital workers and clinic workers, and very recently accomplished the highest standard for nursing home workers in the country after a 15-year struggle to achieve acute care wages and benefits. We're also the most politically active union in this state by far. Had the highest number of volunteers, the highest percentage of voluntary COPE dollars to be involved in politics. We're very proud of all of that. And the single reason why all of that is true is because of member involvement. It's because of member democracy. It's because that we have an ideology that is, there are no limits to empowering workers. And fundamental to this union is the belief that member democracy must be a part of our everyday life, and that's why so many people are involved in this union and why we've achieved all these great things. Now, for 1 year now, we've been having a very public disagreement with leaders of the Service Employees International Union, and the essence of that agreement can be described as top-down versus bottom-up. We again believe that empowering workers, there are no limits to that. Our national leaders have been more and more trying to consolidate decision-making authority and power among a few in Washington, and that's what this struggle is all about. We've consistently, over these last 12 months, demonstrated time after time again that the members of this union want to be in control of the relationship with their employer, in control of their future. They want their vision adopted. That's why they pool their dues dollars to have a real voice, not only in their work site, but in their union. So last week, the SEIU, through Andy Stern, gave this union an ultimatum, and that ultimatum included a number of points that they say we must adhere to, or they will, in fact, trustee this union, which means take it over. Suspend all of these elected officers, appoint a trustee that will be in control of all decision making.
This past weekend, over 5,000 shop stewards met around California and voted unanimously to send out this letter to Andy Stern and the executive board. For the past several years, UHW has been raising its very serious concerns about numerous matters, including the corruption among some of your appointed leaders, the secret backroom deals. SEIU, under your direction, has cut with employers, governors, and others, and the lack of democracy within SEIU.
So yesterday we gave Andy Stern a proposal to end our dispute. We had two fundamental principles that we proposed to Andy. Number one is that before any members get transferred to a new local, we proposed the revolutionary concept that those members should have a right to vote on whether they agree to that or not. That's right. And the second thing that we proposed was that the collective bargaining relationship with your employer should be controlled by all of you. Is there anything revolutionary about that? No! So what does Stern do? Today we got notice that the local got put into trusteeship. He announced that the staff officers have been fired, the elected executive board has been removed. Right? And by the way, I should have said at the beginning, what's going on in Los Angeles is something similar to that. That's where Sal is right now with our brothers and sisters in Southern California, and everything's happening at all the other offices. because we're still in control, because it's still our union, and that he not only notified us of trusteeship, but he has already notified our employers that you as stewards are no longer going to be recognized, and that he's canceled bargaining in some places. He's notified staff that their assignments are no longer in place. When we all know that you control the relationship with your employer, is that right?
That's right.
Are you going to let Andy Stern take over this union? And if an SEIU staff person shows up in your hospital,
Kick him out!
Kick him out!
Kick him out!
When in doubt, throw him out. When in doubt, throw him out. When in doubt, throw him out. When in doubt, throw him out.
We have that fundamental right to choose who our senior leaders are, who the leaders are in our facility, and no one should have that right to take that away from us. And our members have proven again and again that that is what we need to run successfully a democratic union.
They say trustee! We say democracy! They say trustee! We say democracy! They say trustee! We say democracy! They say trustee! We say democracy!
The key issue is to have a democratic voice. We want to keep our democratic voice. The members really want to be able to choose their own leaders, their own leadership, and what local that they want to belong to. And the process needs to be fair and needs to be democratic, and the members want to make sure that happens.
Andy Stern is trying to come in and take over our union. We're not having it. We're sticking strong, and he'll see as soon as the members step up to the plate and let him know that he cannot just come in and take over our union. It's not going to happen like that, Andy. You're going to have to do more, okay? Because we're ready for you. We're only talking to UHW shop stewards. We're not talking to any SEIU, so if you come in and try to camouflage, we know our shop stewards, so yours will not count.
So you're not going to allow them really to tell you what to do?
No, we're not. No, we're not. Not at this time. This is South Sac, Elizabeth Cartwright, 26 years.
Oh, and how do the members at the hospital feel about this?
They're sticking strong. We had a labor and management meeting, and even management, they don't want to see all of this go down. They're trying to come together with the union. They're not trying to separate. It's like either you're going to be UHW all the way or not at all. And we letting the members know it's UHW, not Andy Stern.
Hi, my name is Ruby Guzman. It's RUBY-GUZMAN. I am a certified nursing assistant in San Pablo, and I'm just here to say that it is a fundamental right, not just as members, but as humans, to have the right to vote on decisions that will affect us as members, and that will affect our family also, and the patients. I just settled a great contract last year that gave me the right to advocate for my patients. To me, this is very important, to have the opportunity that I could go and speak on behalf of the patients and the care that they receive. I would have not gotten this without UHW. UHW has raised the standards in our contracts, has uniting with the hospitals has allowed us to raise the standards in the healthcare industry. I believe that merging us, the long-term members, into another local with other long-term members will not allow us to raise the standards in hospitals. It will just lower the bar, making us take a step back in the labor movement versus moving forward with in the labor movement. And I just want to say that this is very emotional to me right now, because I cannot allow this. It's going to affect me, my family, and the patients, and this is my family. These are my brothers and sisters, and I will not be separated from them just because of one person trying to abuse his power of authority and take things that he thinks belongs to him. He has no right to do that. And I speak here on behalf of all my co-workers, all the members here, that we will not go down without a fight. If I have to be up to 5, 6, 7 in the morning or not sleep at all to go and fight for what's right to me and my family, I will do that. No matter how long it takes, I will be here to the end.
The members are outraged. The members is sick and tired of SEIU fighting us when they should be fighting the boss.
And there's a big crisis in education, crisis in the budget in California. What's the SEIU doing about it? Andy Stern, he says he wants to take over your local to fight the crisis, but what's he doing about this crisis?
Well, I'm not for sure what he's doing about the crisis, but what he's doing is dividing unions. He's not creating solidarity or either unity here. He's really just disrupting the union and the whole labor movement. So and what folks have fought for here.
So you feel that this action is really weakening the labor movement and creating an internal crisis inside labor?
Well, it is creating such a thing like that, but we believe in democracy. We believe in a vote. We believe that the people have the last words. We are the members, and we are paying their salaries. This is our union. This is our union dollars, and we don't appreciate it being used against us.
So this office that was set up by the International, what did they want to do?
They want a trusteeship UHW.
And that's why they're bringing in people from all over the country?
Yes. They want to come in, they want to determine our future, they want to talk to the bosses, they don't want our issues to be heard from the members and the rank and file members. They want to be able to be in control. No one should be in control but the people.
And what happened when you went over there?
Well, what happened when we went over there was that they were surprised. They didn't want to let us in, but as I said, it's our union dollars, it's our union hall, and we wanted to go in because we knew that they were in there making war against the peoples of UHW.
So they're organizing a raid to divide up and destroy UHW? Was that the plan?
That's their plan. But are we ready? Yes, we are.
Well, the UHW, the members have said you want a disaffiliation vote, and apparently Andy Stern is saying no vote. Why would he say you don't have the right to have a vote?
Well, why would he say that the Free Voice Act is something that he's fighting for and not give it to us when it's a double standard? Why should it be for the rest of the world and not UHW?
So you're saying the issue of democracy is not just for everybody else, it's from rank and file members?
That's what I'm saying. It's for rank and file members.
Now, if they try to do a trusteeship, is the union, do you think, going to be forced to disaffiliate from the AFL-CIO or decertify from the SEIU?
Yes, I do.
And
we want out.
And what would that mean?
That would mean a desert. Managers right now are not even responding at the Sutter tables right now. They're doing massive, they want to do massive subcontracting. They want to do massive layoffs, you know, is what we're hearing. And that's what they're waiting. They're waiting on a trusteeship, okay, so that they can make a sweetheart deal with Andy Stern in the back door. And what we're saying is that we are the union, we are the rank and file, and we will make sure that our voices is heard at that table. We're the advocates. We are the people that's on the front line for you and I and our families and this community. We are. And we will stand and we will take our place where we need to take our place.
The trusteeship is something that I think Andy Stern has paid for with our dollars by buying these people such as, what is the guy's name?
Congressman Miller.
Congressman Miller and all the other whoever puppets he have, who he could spend money, our money on, to make things happen his way. And what we see is that it's going to end up turning around and the bomb is going to fall on him, because we're going to stick together. Whether we have to separate from him and divide so we can have a democracy, because this is what it's built on our backs, our grandparents' backs, our ancestors, whoever worked and had a union voice. We stand together like they did. There are people who don't know anything about what's going on, but we want to make it happen.
Now, these people who they're bringing in, they're paid with your union dues from all around the country. Do you think that that's a proper way of using union money to trying to take over another local?
Well, this is his tactic. You know, his tactic is to do whatever it is so he can keep stepping on people who have built the democracy that we have and put him in the seat that he is in so he can stay there. But he doesn't know he has woke up a sleeping giant, because we are paying his way. He's not paying our way. These are the little people who are paying his way. He's not looking at us. We're a hard-working people. If we weren't there, the hospitals wouldn't be anything. The healthcare units wouldn't be anything without us.
Well, George Miller was someone that Andy Stern appointed to, so George Miller is accountable to Andy Stern. Okay? Now, everyone knows, even Congress folks, they're trying to say somewhat this is an internal fight and they don't want to get into the middle of it. But the thing is that we put Congress in office, and we'll take Congress out of office. Don't wait till you see a Katrina and the Katrina happens and you see a disaster, because this is about to be a disaster. Okay? So they need to get involved, because somebody is going to get hurt out here, and it ain't going to be me, and it ain't going to be my members. Okay? When we asked him the question, why is he, hurting UHW members, he said it was not him. He said it was his attorneys.
This is what he told you?
This is what he told me.
And what did you think about that?
Well, I told him that it was a bunch of crop, because we believe, and I know that when you have an attorney, you tell your attorney what you want. Your attorney works for you. Okay, so you're guiding your attorney to do the job of what you want.
So he was blaming the attorneys for all this?
He was blaming the attorney for all of the stuff that has taken place with UHW. And we all know that he appointed all these folks that have been caught with corruption, and that's what people need to be looking at. He appointed these folks. These people stole money from the union members, and he knows about it. And yet and still, though, he uphold all that. We was not found with anything that was done wrong. That's why the Marshall ruled not to trusteeship UHW.
So Ray Marshall, did you go to that hearing?
Yes, I did.
And what happened there?
It was a kangaroo court. And when I say that, it was all set up to the point to where, we know that we wasn't going to get what we really wanted there. Just like when we went to Puerto Rico, we didn't get what we wanted there because they already had it set up. He had set up his whole slate of folks of taking back UHW and taking away our 65,000 workers and splitting our union so hard that we have worked for decades. We have organized these workers in these different work sites. This is our union. If you read Andy Stern's book, he believes in a business union, meaning that top-down officials is the one should be running this union and not the members from the bottom up. This is a social union. We run our union. It's our say. We are the ones, we're the ones that have a say-so in our union and how this union is run. That's what he doesn't like, and that's what he doesn't understand. It's like a rich man. A rich man can buy anything in the world, but he can't buy his health and his strength when it's gone. We are the health and strength of this labor movement, and we are not to be bought.
Similar struggles are going on with other unions. This union has 150,000 members and obviously great resources, almost 400 staff. And the siege that our members have been under for the last year by our parent union, by SEIU, is unprecedented. So a union this size, with this many members and these kinds of resources, if we're having this kind of a struggle, just to maintain the fundamental right, member democracy, the right of workers to decide their future, their vision, their relationship with their employer. You can imagine it's happening in a lot of unions where workers aren't being heard. We think that we're at a crossroads in the American labor movement. And that crossroads is, are we going to be a movement of workers, for workers, by workers, or are we going to be a service union movement, an organization where workers are provided some kind of benefits for their dues as opposed to making decisions and controlling the future of the labor movement. We have this big picture goal to establish a progressive majority in this country, and we think that to accomplish that, it has to be led by the labor movement. And just like the civil rights movement in the 60s, it has to be bottom up. It has to be a grassroots, rank and file movement that make it happen.
Welcome to Labor on the Job. I'm the host, Steve Zeltzer. Tonight we're going to be looking at the crisis in the SEIU, the issue of the internal struggle within the United Healthcare Workers and the formation of a new union in California, which is called the National Union of Healthcare Workers. And joining us tonight is Alexandra Early. Welcome to the show, Alexandra.
Thank you.
And Alexandra, you've been working and were working for the UHW. Why don't you talk about your experience in the UHW and what happened?
So I did some work when I was in college with people, janitors from who were represented by SEIU 32BJ, and food service workers. The janitors had a very bad experience with SEIU. They were really not well represented, so I didn't want to work for SEIU initially. But with some guidance from my parents, they told me that UHW is really democratic, really focuses on member participation. So I applied. Have worked for 11 months as a convalescent center representative here in San Francisco. And, you know, it was really hard work, but I thought it was really great the way they really did focus on educating members, having members participate in every level of bargaining.
Was this your experience in other unions?
Well, it was definitely not my experience with 32BJ, SEIU, the way they treated
those are janitors in New York City?
Janitors in Connecticut.
I see.
Yeah. They saw their representative maybe once or twice a year if they were persistent enough in calling him, you know. And the students actually had to file a ULP for them one time because the union was so out of it that, you know, just not representing its workers at all.
Why did they not represent them? What?
I mean, I think part of it was it's a really big union, and you know, like a lot of SEIU locals, one representative has, you know, thousands and thousands of workers, and they don't train their stewards at all. Like, a steward is elected by raise of hands, and that's it. They don't even give them a steward handbook.
So there's no education of the
No.
shop stewards and the members.
No.
This must be pretty frustrating for the members.
Yeah, because people are like, oh, you have a union, why are you complaining? But I mean, in all ways, they really didn't have a union, other than that they paid dues, you know.
So you started with UHW, SEIU UHW, which had 150,000 members and represented the majority of healthcare workers in California. And when did you start with them?
I started with them March of 2008. Yeah.
And what happened there? What kind of experiences did you have?
Well, you know, we've had a lot of contract campaigns, and we did we had a concerted effort to have all the contracts expire at the same time in nursing homes and hospitals so that we would have more bargaining power.
You mean a master contract?
Well, some master contract. Yeah, kind of like a master contract. And, you know, in the places that we did bargain, like, for example, Kindred is a big nursing home and hospital chain, a national chain. We really worked on getting the members involved, doing a lot of petitions, and we were able to get a really good contract, even though SEIU at the same time was trying to make deals with nursing home and hospitals, you know, all throughout this.
What kind of deals were they interested in making?
Well, they had like a deal like SEIU Local 6434 down in Southern California. They were like pioneering this deal that was tied to like Medicare and Medicaid and didn't take into account any other revenue sources that the nursing homes have. And I think it was like a raise of like $1.50 or something like that over 3 years. And we were able, with our members being organized and active, we were able to get, you know, $2.33 over 3 years, which is like a big increase for nursing home workers.
And what is their average wage?
The starting wage is around, you know, it's around $13, $14. Southern California, it's like $9.
So that's pretty hard to live.
Yeah.
In California, $9 an hour?
$9 an hour, and there's no increases. You work there 20 years, you get $9 an hour, just like, you know, when you started.
So the home care workers were a group that Andy Stern and the SEIU national leadership wanted to take away from UHW. What was that about?
Home care and nursing home workers. I mean, to me, it's all political. It's not about the interests of the members, what's best for the members. Anything that SEIU does, as far as I'm concerned, isn't about the interests of the members. Well, SEIU, like talking about the leadership in Washington. That was about, their idea was that, you know, it'd be that nursing home workers and home care workers will be stronger together. But to me, it's like a second-class union, like for the second-class workers, who are the home care and nursing home workers, who are, you know, historically not as well organized and make a lot less than the hospital and Kaiser workers. So it's taking away that strength that we get from being you know, united with hospital and Kaiser workers.
And it would probably benefit the employers to have everybody divided too.
Yeah, sure. Because it just, the nursing home owners are always saying, oh, we're not like the hospitals, we can't pay like the hospitals, you know, don't compare us. They love to think of themselves as completely different, you know? And if they were dealing with a union that was just home care and nursing home workers, it would be even easier for them to say, oh, we can't pay you anymore because, you know, this isn't a hospital, you know, and make themselves out to be poor. But, you know, these people who run these big nursing homes, like, they make a lot of money.
They're millionaires. They're big millionaires.
Yeah, the CEO of Kindred made, in 2007, made like $8 million. No, excuse me, $11 million.
$11 million. So they're not poor people.
They're not poor. You know.
So in the midst of this thing, there was a convention in Puerto Rico. Were you able to go to that, or you heard about it?
No, it was mostly members. There was some staff there. Yeah, I mean, it was really, I think, really upsetting, especially for a lot of members, because, you know, they were still, at that point, we still thought that, you know, we would get like a fair say at that convention. And there were just so many examples of SEIU, you know, just stopping any kind of dissent. You know, people got in line to speak on the microphone, and, you know, they weren't allowed to talk, things like that. It was, yeah, I think it was really upsetting for a lot of members.
Now, you were also involved in an effort in UHW to educate the members or have presentations about what was going on internally and nationally within the SEIU. What was that process? There are rallies and
yeah, we
have.
Well, we have steward councils every 1 or 2 months. We really push to get, you know, a lot of people coming to the steward council so they could talk with other members, with members of the executive board.
Now, were these elected stewards?
Yeah, the elected stewards, and the executive board is elected too. I think it's every 3 years. We were supposed to have elections in this February, but, you know.
Well, there are things that happened.
There are things that happened.
So what was the SEIU International trying to do with the UHW?
Well, the way I see it, they are trying to make UHW shut up, like, because we haven't agreed with, especially they're trying to take over contract negotiations for places like Catholic Healthcare West, the Kindred buildings, Sutter.
Well, is that because they want to make deals nationally, or what?
Yeah, I think they want to make. I guess I don't really totally understand their thinking, but I guess it's they want to make deals nationally. But these are places where bargaining is like 100 members, you know, and they want one guy from Washington to make a decision instead of those 100 elected bargaining committee members.
So the UHW had elected bargaining committees.
Oh yeah, for every you know, contract that we bargain, we have an elected bargaining committee. And you know, people give up their free time to go to these bargaining committee meetings, and they take it really seriously. And you know, SEIU wanted to end that. So, you know, I think that's been part of the conflict. And also this whole idea of separating nursing home members and nursing home and home care members. When, you know, we've done a vote to have nursing home and home care members decide if they want to be in a separate union or not, and they decided they wanted to stay with UHW.
So part of the demand was of the UHW is that if they got those members, this is to the SEIU, there would be a democratic vote of those members.
Right, exactly.
And what did they say to that?
They said no. I mean, yeah, right near the end when they were threatening trusteeship, we sent a proposal to them. The executive board wrote up a proposal saying, like, we will cooperate with you if you follow, if you will agree to this number of things. One of them was saying, you know, let our members vote where they want to be. Another one said let members stay involved in, like, controlling contract bargaining, and there was a number of other things, and they said no, we're taking you over.
Now, when was the trusteeship? They put a trusteeship in?
Yeah, so trusteeship was two Tuesdays ago, I guess, a week from this past Tuesday.
So early February they put.
Oh,
in
right, actually, right at the beginning of January
29th or
yeah.
January 30th. Okay.
Yeah, I think January 29th.
And what happened with this trusteeship? What was your experience with it?
So my experience was, we got an email, and then we all got phone calls. It was like an email sent out to the listserv, saying, you're being put in trusteeship. Then we all got phone calls that said, don't go to work, don't go to work today, don't talk to any members, don't go to any facilities, don't answer any phone calls, don't go to your office. And
don't answer any phone calls?
No, you should not do any union work. And so that was the administrative leave that we had been told was going to come. So we had administrative leave. Then it was all very confusing. Then we got phone calls to report, some of us got phone calls, not all of us, to report to a hotel in Oakland to have a meeting and like interrogations, like one-on-one interrogations. So actually our staff union.
What union was that?
It's the United Staff Workers, it's independent. We all went to these meetings. We made sure that everybody got representation, like a steward, in their interrogations. So there were 3 days of these like meetings and interrogations.
And who was interrogating you?
It was different people. They had these hotel rooms set up that they had taken out the beds and put in like, a desk like this, and you had these two people, one person taking notes of everything you said, another person interrogating you. And
this is pretty weird.
It was very weird. And then you had, it started out with Dave Regan coming in. You were in a room.
And who is Dave Regan?
Dave Regan is one of the trustees. The two trustees are Eliseo Medina and Dave Regan. Dave Regan is the president, I think, or was the president of a big local.
The Michigan Council?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Was he involved, the one involved in attacking the Labor Notes Convention, physically assaulting the Labor Notes Convention?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So Dave Regan comes in there and he's like, let me tell you a little bit about myself. And all this stuff about, UHW is a great, vibrant organization. I never would have thought that I would be here. I'm so unhappy to be here. They've been planning this for like a year at least. Mm-hmm. And the first day, people were pretty anxious and just didn't really speak up much. Second day, people were really rowdy. Third day, very rowdy. Everything he said, someone would stand up and be like, "That you're full of crap."
So he was having a rough time.
He had a rough time. By the end, by the third day, we actually chased him out of the room, not physically, but verbally. He had to leave because he had to flee the room because so many people were yelling at him. But we all had our jobs at risk, and there was meetings going on in Northern California and Southern California. Mm-hmm. And people were really anxious because they had their jobs were on the line, and everything that you just didn't know what to say, in the interrogation because.
What kind of questions were they asking you?
It was different for every person because I'm a steward in the staff union, so I went in with other people from the nursing home division. The main questions were a verbal loyalty oath that said, that UHW has been taken over, correct? Are you going to go along with everything the trustees tell you to do? Or what the trustees program. They didn't tell us what the program was, but they said, are you going to go along with it? And, the idea was, what we thought is, if you don't say yes to everything, if you don't say, oh, yes, I'll do whatever it takes, I will not undermine the program that I don't know about, then, they could fire you. So, so I said yes, and those are the questions. You had to fill out a bunch of forms about, what are your buildings? Do you have open contracts? They asked a few people if there were any decertification petitions going around. Because at that point, the executive board of our union had formed the National United Healthcare Workers. And they knew that at some buildings, member leaders were moving petitions to have a vote to change unions. So.
And did they make you sign a loyalty oath?
We didn't sign it, but I mean, we had to verbally agree to it, you know.
see.
And anything we said, if we asked a question about the oath, anything, you know, they took that down.
And what was the oath?
The oath was, you know, are you going to follow the program of the trustees? Do you commit to not undermining the program of the trustees?
Whatever that means. So.
Whatever that means. Whatever the program of the trustees
And what's
means.
been some of the experiences of the business agents who have stayed on with
Yeah,
the,
so people
with the SEIU?
who have stayed on.
Were you fired?
I was fired, right. So a lot of people have resigned because they don't want to work for SEIU. And because of the working conditions there.
What are the working conditions?
So I've especially been in contact with someone who was there for 4 days, which is almost like a record because it's so awful. And it's, I mean, you're monitored at all times by these what so-called warriors that they've sent in.
Oh, the warriors?
They call them the warriors. That's what I think it was Mary Kay Henry who called them warriors. So they've sent them in and they're monitoring.
These are people not even from California?
No.
They're from all over the country?
They're from all over the country. Some of them don't, you know, have come here under false pretenses. They didn't know why they were here.
I see.
And so the UHW staff are monitored at all times. They've been told to make phone calls to their leaders and members, you know, with a script about how great the trusteeship is. You know, we're going to get great contracts. This is a good thing for UHW.
Their pep talk.
Their pep talk, and they have an SEIU monitor, you know, right next to them, making sure that everything they say is part of the script. And then if they want to have any contact with members, they have to have an SEIU monitor there. If they go into a facility, if they're allowed in a facility, they have to have an SEIU monitor there. If they're going to transport a member somewhere, drive a member somewhere, they have to have an SEIU monitor in the car with them.
That could be very complicated.
Yeah, well, especially because these people, I mean, our members have been educated about what SEIU is doing, so they do not take kindly to having SEIU people around them all the time, you know? I mean, the SEIU people who've gone into, especially hospitals and Kaiser, have been just driven out of there.
What happens?
They get yelled at, you know. The only person who welcomes them is the people from HR, you know, the bosses welcome them in. But the members are not welcoming at all.
So the members yell at them and tell them to get out of there.
Yeah. The members, you know, chase them out into the parking lot.
They feel that their union has been seized by the international.
Yeah, and you know, people have done so much to fight this. Like so many petitions, so many rallies, so many meetings, you know, and they feel like SEIU has just totally disregarded their will.
Were you surprised by this mobilization
of
the members?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot in my time there. There's been a lot of people who initially were not so interested, but like the more that they learned about what SEIU was doing and how it was affecting like their contracts, their lives, like they got more and more engaged. And I mean, like the turnout that we had for rallies, like it's like historic, you know. Thousands, yeah.
6,000, 7,000, 8,000.
Yeah, people made like a lot of sacrifices. Like we were like, hey, will you fly down to Los Angeles with us for 2 days and like spend 2 days there for a rally? And people, you know, like 6,000 people came out. So yeah, people feel like it's been seized. But members have been really active in this fight for NUHW to have a fair vote to decide if they want to stay with SEIU UHW or if they want to be in an independent union. And I mean, like I talked to a steward today and her administrator. The administrators, you know, love this situation and they take advantage of it to say, oh, well, you don't have a union anymore. You don't have a contract anymore. And one of the stewards said to me, or said to the administrator, she goes, we do have a union, and as soon as we vote, we're going to be in our own independent NUHW. And so they're excited to get out and just be done with SEIU and not send any more money to Washington, be able to use, our own resources for our own campaigns.
Well, the SEIU is probably spending, from what you're saying, a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe millions. Do you have any idea how much they're spending sending people to California and
buying
hotel
lodging
rooms
them,
and lodging them in hotels
and they've only recently started sending. I think maybe next week they're going to start sending representatives back into facilities. So for these 2-3 weeks, there hasn't been any serving members.
So how many members have been sent to California? Do you have any idea by the UHW or by the SEIU International?
How many staff?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it may be hundreds.
Yeah, could be and as more people resign, they're going to have to hire more and more people. I've heard that they've sent out more calls to different locals to get more staff.
Because people are finding that they're not well liked by...
there's UHW staff who've resigned more and more every day. More UHW staff resign. And then there's SEIU staff who are like, please, please, can I go home? I don't want any more members yelling at me and,
They're getting the angry comments of the members.
Right. So, they're, and it's such an odd time to be doing this because, there's economic problems throughout the whole country, and SEIU has decided to use its resources, not just in California, but in the whole country, for this conflict, for winning this one fight. But there's all these fires that they should be putting out throughout the country, and
there's an economic depression we're going into.
Yeah.
And they're focusing in on crushing this local, which was challenging them and standing up to them.
Right.
Do you think they're going to be successful?
Oh no. No, I think they've got money, they've got lawyers, but we have the members, and these members are educated and they're determined, and Andy Stern and his people from SEIU can throw out, do as many things as they want to do to try to prevent workers from getting a fair vote as to what union they want, but eventually things are just going to get more and more bad for them,
And some of the members try to defend the office in San Jose.
Oh yeah, members, our members were sleeping in the offices, all the offices, and they held on to San Jose for a week after the trusteeship. And people from SEIU had to come, lawyers and some people they hired.
Lawyers from Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, came to the San Jose office with a crowbar, to try to break in. And it's
they brought their crowbar.
Yeah, they brought a crowbar, and they called the police on them, and they were like, "Look, that's the crowbar they tried to break in here with." They wouldn't tell the members their names. It's been crazy the way they've acted. The way they're treating. It doesn't
sound too much like solidarity.
No, oh my God, they have no solidarity, and they're the worst employers. Working for SEIU, you would think you would get some respect. When we were fired, there was 19 of us fired. 5 of those 19 were staff union stewards, and that's no coincidence, There's other probationary employees who were not fired. And if SEIU is so, Dave Regan said, we have to get back to the real work of the union. We're all about serving the members. But they haven't been in facilities or dealing with grievances for 3 weeks. And they fired, 20 people. When representatives are already overloaded with how many members they have, and they're firing people who've been in there a year who have built up relationships with workers. It's just so clear that, serving the members is not on the top of their list at all,
Well, this whole mergers of locals, which you talked a bit about in New York or in Connecticut, where these big locals were supposed to represent people better because you had stronger locals. That was at least was the was the theme of the international plan for mergers. You're saying it's backfired. It's hurt really rank and file controlled unions and unions that are strong and represent their members better.
I think it depends because UHW is a big union also, but we have mechanisms in place, like elected stewards, elected executive board members. We have these steward councils. We have steward trainings, and I think a lot of big unions, you know, our size or bigger, don't have that focus.
Well, what do you think will happen if you're successful in winning representation, the new union? What's the national union called?
The National United Healthcare Workers.
Okay.
Yeah.
As far as other SEIU members in California around the country, if they see that you can be successful outside the SEIU?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have said that, you know, this is going to be, that California should be Andy Stern's graveyard. That no physical harm meant towards Andy Stern, but that his program of, you know, crushing dissent in SEIU, that he should learn his lesson here in California, because I hope that people don't have to leave SEIU just to be able to have a democratic union local.
But it sounds like they have very little choice.
Right. No, I mean, totally.
SEIU.
We tried so hard to stay in SEIU because this is a union that our members have helped build. You know, SEIU is ours just as much as it's Andy Stern's. And, but yeah, he's made it impossible. So, maybe more unions will start affiliating with NUHW.
You think that would be healthy for the labor movement?
Yeah. I mean,
this change to win was supposed to be a big plan of some unions to build up a new union movement and organize millions of people, and it doesn't seem to have.
Well, yeah, because Andy's like NUHW and UHW, the way we think is that, you know, in order to organize more members, you shouldn't have to compromise the rights and gains of current members. But Andy Stern doesn't think that way. It's more about growth than it is about serving the members that are already in your union. And we've shown that you can do both, you know. If you have strong, organized, educated members, it's easier to, like, you know, work out deals with, for example, Kindred, where we got organizing for the whole state of California in their nursing homes. But we didn't have to compromise the rights and pay and benefits of our current members. So I think, you know, once we have NUHW up and running, it will just prove once again that, you know, that his model is not the only way to go. You know, a corporate model of unionism is not the only way to go.
Well, Andy Stern is now supporting this Employee Free Choice Act, EFCA. Why don't you talk about that and your experience and relationship to what you're going through right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're actually going to have a rally about this on Wednesday because there's been a lot of stewards who have been punished because they've been putting out petitions, moving petitions in their facilities to try to get a vote to decide what union they want to be in. And, for example, there was a steward who was threatened by their new representative. The representative threatened the steward and said, if you keep on moving that petition, I'm going to have you suspended. This was a union representative talking to his steward, speaking like a boss.
Suspended by management.
Yeah, I'm going to have you suspended by management.
So the SEIU, Andy Stern's official agent from outside California was telling a worker in California, a shop steward, that he would be suspended if he continued getting signatures for a petition.
Yeah. And they've said, Dave Regan said in his meeting with us on Monday, the Monday after the union was taken over, he said that any stewards that are moving this petition, they should be removed from their title. And these are elected stewards, but Dave Regan is going to decide who needs to be removed from their position as steward. And so they're saying, you know, EFCA, all workers should have a free choice to join a union, but, you know, except for California and members of UHW, because those workers, you know, shouldn't have a free choice.
And if they had a free choice, what do you think the vote would be?
I mean, their idea, like SEIU's idea of a free choice and a free vote, would say, do you want, you know, SEIU UHW, or do you want SEIU UHW? You know, because their vote.
Was that the last vote?
Yeah, their vote last time of home care and nursing home workers, which we boycotted and sent protests in, more votes. There were more protests than there were votes in this last election. The choices were: do you want to have your union divided into nursing home and home care workers separate from hospital and Kaiser workers, or do you want your union to be trusteed?
That was the
That
choice.
was the choice. There was no choice. I want things to stay the way they are, and I want to keep on, you know, enjoying the rights I have in the union right now. There was no choice, and they called that a fair vote. You know.
That was a Democratic vote.
That was a Democratic
according
vote.
to Andy Stern and his
right.
his people.
Right.
Now, are your members standing up? Are the people, the workers who want an independent union, been able to stand up so far against this?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, like, it's been very frustrating for me because I don't have access in the nursing homes. I can't just walk into the nursing home, talk to people at lunch break anymore because we're not the official representatives. So this has really been the time when we've seen the strength of the workers, because now it's up to them to organize their coworkers, because, you know, we can't be in there. And they have people from SEIU coming in there, and even more are going to come in this week. So this is really going to be a testament to how strong the workers are, because they're the ones in the buildings now, and they're the ones leading this fight more than they ever have before. You know, while all of us were on administrative leave, it was the members who were starting these petitions. So,
what do you think about the state of American labor movement? I mean, there's a big crisis, there's a depression. It seems like the unions are not really mobilizing. There's an emergency situation for millions of working people. They've been laid off. There's a collapsing economy. Do you think the unions are really up to the challenge of facing what is a very disastrous and catastrophic situation for working people?
Well, I mean, I'm no expert, but I think that if you have a union where members feel empowered and where you're really taking advantage of the power of your membership, that we can do a lot more. And I mean, definitely growth is important, you know. But I think a time like this, people also see the importance of being in a union, you know, because so much is at risk when you're not in a union. And it can go both ways. You know, people can be so scared that they're going to lose their jobs that they don't want to have anything to do with unions. They're like, I just want to be thankful for what I have. And I've heard that from members. They say, don't ask for more, because we should just be thankful to have a job. But you can also, I mean, it can go either way.
Okay, well, you're optimistic?
Yeah, I am optimistic.
So maybe we'll have you on in another 6 months and see where things are at.
3 months.
3 months? Okay, well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And also, before we go, you have a website, which apparently you've been writing some articles on.
Yeah,
Why don't you talk about how that came about?
I mean, it's not really my website, but I have written some for it, and there's a lot of members of NUHW and
what's it called?
Staff and members. It's called perezstern.blogspot.com.
And who is Perez?
It's a takeoff on Perez Hilton, which is a celebrity website. So the celebrities of our Perez Stern website are the trustees, Andy Stern, Mary Kay Henry.
And what's in this website?
It's got some great videos of different actions and SEIU staff meetings. It's got testimony from members, testimony from staff. And there's more and more on there every day, because every day SEIU does something ridiculous. So it's a great website. And then there's also the NUHW official website.
And that's nuhw.org? I see.
And then there's also SEIU Voice is still up and running, as far as I know.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're using the internet to get your stories out.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
I would just like to say to all my brothers and sisters that's in the labor movement that are in unions, we need a labor channel. The world needs to see that all the peoples that are in this unions are in unions. We need to take back our unions by demonstrating, letting folks see what's going on TV. We need a labor movement. I was at one rally where the Alameda County, all the labor movement folks came in for that midnight march. That's what this city needs to see. All union brothers and sisters, so that we can unite. And where the corruption is, we need to remove it.